I moved into that apartment in early October, when the weather hadn't fully turned cold yet. It was still warm during the day, but the nights had a chill. At dusk, the streets were bathed in an orange glow, and the air smelled damp. The red brick building sat quietly on a corner, just a plain 3-story walk-up with no elevator. The stairwell had a faint musty smell. The landlord was a man in his 50s, wearing a faded baseball cap. He looked tired, maybe even a little apathetic. He gave me a quick tour of the unit, dropped a set of keys in my hand, and left without much small talk. The place was better than I expected. The living room was small, but had a tiny balcony. The wooden floors were old but clean. The kitchen was narrow, with just a simple cabinets and an induction stove. The bedroom was tiny, just a double bed, an old wooden wardrobe, and a knit stand with a loose drawer. On the knit stand sat a warm yellow lamp that looked like it had been there forever. The first thing I noticed was how low the bed frame was. The space underneath was dark, shallow, empty. I crouched down and used my phone flashlight to check. There was only a thin layer of dust, nothing else. That afternoon, I unpacked my things and made the bed with my own sheets. Dinner was simple spaghetti and canned corn chowder at the small dining table in the living room. By 10:30 I'd showered and crawled into bed. The mattress was a little worn, but not uncomfortable. It was quiet, no cars outside, no neighbors making noise. That kind of silence was oddly calming. I felt like moving there had been the right decision. The first night went fine. I fell asleep quickly. Until around 3 in the morning, I woke up suddenly, like someone had leaned close and whispered something in my ear. I couldn't even tell what the sound was. My eyes opened to a room, so quiet it felt unnatural. The nightlight was still on, casting a dim glow across the floor. No moon outside the window. I turned over, reaching for my phone on the bedside table. That's when I heard it coming from under the bed. A soft, deliberate hue. It was so faint, but it was real. Like someone lying flat against the floor exhaling gently. I froze. My body locked up, my heartbeat spiking into my throat. Then it came again, but not just breathing. There were faint, uneven little breaths, some long, some short. Like someone curled up under there, trying not to make noise, but failing to stay still. I squeezed my eyes shut. I didn't move. I didn't even breathe too loudly. The sound stopped for a moment, then, almost as if it was testing if I was awake, it started again. I don't know how I made it to morning. The next day I convinced myself it was nothing, just my nerves. Too much stress from moving. A strange room, my imagination filling in the silence. After work I crouched down and checked under the bed again. Nothing, just the same thin layer of dust. I even moved the vanity mirror onto the floor and angled it so I could see all the way to the very back. Empty. That second night, I forced myself to sleep in the bedroom again. At about 3 a.m. the sound came back. This time it was clearer. First the soft breath. Then, the faint scraping of fingers on wood. Like someone dragging their nails lightly across the floor. Slow, careful. I pulled the blanket over my head. I didn't even dare to swallow too loudly. The sound went on for so long I eventually drifted into a restless half-sleep, of sheer exhaustion. By the third night, I didn't risk it. I slept on the couch. I thought maybe, if I stayed in another room, it would stop. But it didn't. Around 3 a.m, the noises came again. This time from the bedroom, through the wall. Even with a whole room between me and it, I heard the breathing. Low and strange, mixed with a faint dragging sound, like something being pulled slowly across the floor. I lay on the couch with my eyes shut, regretting ever renting that place. Every night after that was the same. By 9 in the evening I was already tense, dreading bedtime. I'd stall after work, loitering at a convenience store or sitting in a cafe, until it was almost closing time. Once, I got home early and ran into the neighbor in the hallway, a quiet-looking guy with glasses. I tried making small talk, He just gave me a polite nod and went inside without saying much. Some nights I brought back cheap beer and fried chicken, stayed up late watching TV in the living room until I couldn't keep my eyes open. The couch made my back ache, but at least it kept me away from the bedroom. But even then, in the dead silence of the night, I could still hear it, the breathing. Pressed down, suppressed, seeping through the quiet and straight into my spine. Until one night it rained. Heavy rain. I came home late, soaked through. The building's hallway reeked of dampness. It was almost 11:30 by the time I finished dinner and made a cup of tea. I planned to just crash on the couch again. The sound of rain against the window was oddly soothing, making me drowsy. But at 3 a.m, I woke up again, and this time, it wasn't just breathing. It was footsteps, barefoot, soft, almost gentle. I stared at the living room curtains, swaying slightly in the draft. The air in the apartment felt heavy. Wrong. The footsteps stopped at the bedroom door, then, they went back inside. I grabbed my phone and slowly walked toward the bedroom. The door was half open. The gap beyond it was pure black. The night light, which was always on, wasn't glowing. It was like the room had swallowed the light whole. I lifted my phone and turned on the flashlight. The beam hit the floor, and I saw it, a faint, wet streak, like something soaked in water had been dragged from the door, all the way under the bed. My skin went cold, my hands were shaking, but I still stepped closer. I pointed the light at the darkness beneath the bed, and I saw a finger. A pale, thin, dried-up finger slowly sliding out from under the bed frame. Almost like it was testing the air outside. I froze. Completely paralyzed, my hand slipped, the phone fell. The flashlight beam swung wildly across the floor. And in that split second, it illuminated the finger again. It twitched. Then it darted back under the bed fast, like it had been startled. I collapsed against the doorway. My mind went blank. I couldn't even scream. I didn't look back. I slammed the door shut, didn't grab a thing, not even my jacket. I bolted out of the apartment and ran all the way to the convenience store on the corner, where I stayed until sunrise. When I came back in the morning to pack my things, everything looked normal. The bed was clean, dry, nothing there. I didn't explain. I just called the landlord and told him I was breaking the lease. He just nodded, didn't even ask why. His face was so calm, almost felt like he already knew. After that, I stayed at a friend's place for a while. She's the straightforward type. She asked why I moved so suddenly, and I lied. Told her the apartment was damp, the soundproofing bad. She laughed, said I was too picky, and didn't press further. But even at her place, I didn't sleep well. More than once, I woke up in the middle of the night. And lying there in her guest room, I swore I could hear it. That same breathing, so quiet, so close, like it was seeping up from under the bed. I kept telling myself it was in my head. But the more I told myself that, the more the panic grew. Eventually I moved again. A new apartment. A brand new bed and mattress. I even made sure to get a high bed frame, with plenty of space underneath for storage, because at least I could see everything under it. The first night there, I slept fine. I almost believed I'd left it behind. But about 2 weeks later, one night after I got up to use the bathroom, I climbed back into bed, turned off the light, and settled in. Just as I was about to fall asleep, right by my ear, a soft, deliberate hue. Exactly the same sound as that night. I froze. My breath caught. I told myself, don't look under the bed. Don't. But the more you tell yourself not to look, the more you feel like something is already there, waiting for you to bend down. I was about 7 that summer. The kind of sticky, airless afternoon that made every breath feel heavy. Mom was in the kitchen, busy with roast chicken and corn salad, while I sat on the living room carpet building a castle out of blocks. The TV was on, but I wasn't really watching. The only sounds were pots and pans clinking in the kitchen. Dad wasn't home yet, it was just the two of us. For some reason, I suddenly felt like playing in Mom's upstairs closet. I always thought of it as a secret base, a place to hide and pretend I'd disappeared. I left my blocks, climbed the wooden stairs, and made my way up. It was cooler upstairs. The hallway was sliced into dim patches by the late afternoon light, and the air smelled faintly of laundry powder. I pushed open Mom's bedroom door, and the moment I stepped inside, the quiet felt different, like this room wasn't part of the same house as the rest. The closet door was half open. I crouched and slipped inside, sliding the door shut. Darkness swallowed me, except for a thin strip of light leaking through the crack. Hugging my knees, I listened to my own breathing, thinking I might go grab some pillows to make it cozier when I heard footsteps in the hallway. They came slowly, softly, but each step was clear. It wasn't Mom's usual slippered shuffle. They stopped right at the doorway, as if someone was standing there. No one spoke. The sliver of light dimmed, like a shadow had fallen across it. I thought it was Mom, but she didn't call my name. Didn't open the door, just stood there, silent. Then I heard it a sound in the room. Not at the doorway, inside. A slow, low exhale, as if someone was breathing. My chest tightened. I tried to slide the door open, but it wouldn't budge, as if someone was holding it shut from the outside. The breathing grew closer. I heard the faint creak of the floorboards just outside the closet. It sounded like someone was crouching down, face level with the door. My hands gripped the frame, so tightly my fingers ached. And then Mom's voice, from the bedroom doorway, calling me down for dinner. I shouted, "I'm here," and pushed at the door. This time, it slid open easily. No one was there. I bolted out. The room was empty. The window was half open, letting in a soft breeze. Mom stood in the hallway, looking puzzled, asking why I was sweating so much. I didn't tell her what had just happened. I just grabbed her hand and pulled her downstairs. At dinner, I kept glancing toward the stairs, half expecting to see someone standing up there. Mom thought the heat had gotten to me, and sent me to bed early. That night, I tossed and turned, staring into the dark. The fan spun lazily. Once or twice, headlights from passing cars swept across the ceiling. I was just drifting towards sleep when I heard its soft footsteps upstairs. They came down the hall, stopping right outside my bedroom door. I froze. The steps stopped. Then, 3 gentle knocks, and silence. The next day, I told Dad. He laughed it off, said old houses creak when the wood expands and contracts, and told me not to let my imagination run wild. I never went in Mom's closet again. Years later, after I'd grown up and moved away, I mentioned it to Mom. She went quiet for a moment, then admitted she'd heard strange noises, 2 footsteps upstairs, when she was alone. She said the house was old and probably had loose boards. I didn't argue, just smiled. But deep down, I knew what I'd heard that summer wasn't wood. Even now, when I'm in my new home sorting clothes in the closet, I sometimes catch myself pausing, listening just to make sure I don't hear someone else breathing on the other side.